Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Spiritual Light. I'm in for Stevan today, and we have here in the studio with us our dear friend Elsa Rossi, Charles Kempf, and Silvia Gibbons. So, hello, Elsa. Welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Lights.
Thank you, Munir. Hi, Charles. Hi, Silvia. Nice to see Silvia here as usual. Hi, Munir. Hello, dear
Hello.
audience. It's really a pleasure to be here once again, special for these moments when we are discussing a wonderful subject today that everyone is immersed for the entire existence. So thank you for being with us.
Yes, today is the law of worship, connecting with the divine in a distracted world. So, hello, Charles.
Hello, Munir. Hello, Elsa, Silvia. Hello also to all of you who are with us today and who will come later through the video. Yes, indeed. Distracted world. We think about a lot of things, a lot of this distraction, and we forget sometimes some very important aspects. And this is what we will try to clarify a little bit today.
Yes, thank you, Charles. Yes, together here we'll be discussing some aspects of the topic today, and we hope to bring some lights to all those watching us. So, Silvia, hello, Silvia. Nice to see you. Wonderful to have you here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's lovely to be here with you all again, especially talking about a very special subject. I think this people do ask and wonder about, this prayer and adoration of God and belief, acceptance of God. So it's wonderful to be here with you and with everyone to discuss such a very important subject.
Yes, yes, indeed, and it's interesting. It's in the distracted world. So we have the impression that people walk looking down instead of facing the sky above the horizon, and in this distracted world. I personally have the impression that because we've managed to achieve something, we became, happy with that little bit that we have achieved, and we forgot to keep on discovering things, and especially what is related to spirit, because now usually physical life may be reasonably comfortable. Although we get reminders every now and then, no matter where we are, our social position, we get from life, certain reminders that our condition is temporary. There is much more for us here. I will start then with the first question. What is the Spiritist understanding of true worship, and how does it differ from formal religious rituals? So, I'm going to start with Charles.
Yeah,
What?
thank you, Munir, for the question. Indeed, you are totally right. These world distractions, we are incarnated in the world, and some of the humanity even think that that's the only form of life, that it goes from our birth until the tomb, and that after that there is nothing anymore. The materialistic point of view. And then, of course, this point of view is leading us to focus exclusively on the earthly things, because once we leave the earth, there is nothing anymore. And we, as a spiritist body of knowledge, is the spiritualist philosophy, which means that we have a soul, and when we die, the soul survives. And we know also, as I repeated it many times, sorry for repeating myself so many times here, that the day we will uh, die, we will not take a single atom of our physical body and will not take a single penny of our earthly belongings. We will only take with us our conscience good or bad, and what we have learned, in intellectual and moral knowledge. So this is changing completely the point of view. I mean, we see, as you told correctly, Munir, we are here on Earth temporarily, but our real life, where we come from and where we go to, and the things that we keep with us are not material. These are the spiritual things. So this changes completely the point of view, whether we are in the materialistic point of view paradigm or when we are in the spiritualist point of view. So that's the point about worship. Since we have a soul, the true worship, when we go to the traditional religions, they tell us, okay, this is a prayer, you have the Lord's Prayer. You must tell it like this. You have to go into to the church to accomplish your duties and so on. But mostly it's just okay, listening, entering in one ear and going out from the second ear, as we tell in French. And take ostia or do some rituals and then say the prayer and okay, so we have done our duty with our father and or whatever. So you see, even so the religions are following a spiritualistic paradigm. They insist on the external aspects of the worship, mainly the rituals. And it's exactly falling back into the same mistake as the materialist. It means giving importance to material or external aspects of the worship. And in the spiritist point of view, the worship is quite different. The true worship comes out of our heart. It's a true thought that we are emitting. We know, as per the spiritualist body of knowledge, that the thoughts are being transmitted through the universal cosmic fluid in the whole universe. So the thoughts are not just something limited in ourselves, but it's something being emitted and spread around us. When we have a thought towards a given person, incarnated or discarnated, this thought is really the addressing is going making such that the thought is reaching this person we are thinking about. So it's basically the way of communication between spirits. So of course, here incarnated on Earth, we are very seldomly aware about the power of the thoughts. Of course, there are some in parapsychology or wherever, they are making studies about telepathy, which is transmission of thoughts. And this has been demonstrated in several cases, for instance, with the Gansfeld protocol or some other ways of experiments, that really there is a thought emitter can be received by a receiver. And then in double blind, all the protocols and this, how to say, Faraday, how do you say it in English?
Cage, Faraday cage.
Faraday cage. So to be sure that there is no other way for transmitting the thought, making sure that it's really something not in an electromagnetic wave material form, but the thought, in spite of the Faraday cage, reaching the other person. So it's demonstrated that it works between incarnated. But as a spiritist body of knowledge, we know perfectly that it works. This is a way of communication between the spirits. And since we are a spirit, even incarnated, when we think and when we make a prayer, this law of worship, we are emitting thoughts which are immediately reaching the spirits. And among the spirits, there are some very particular ones. One is, of course, God, which is our Almighty Father. So a prayer and a thought going to God will reach God and will have an effect back to us. And also our spiritual guide or mentor or guardian angel or whatever you like to call it, which is a spirit which is dedicated to us to assist us in our journey on earth. If we elevate our thoughts and make some worship or a prayer towards our guardian angel, he will be immediately with us, helping us, inspiring us through intuition, inspiration, the voice of the conscience, and helping us to take the right decisions and to overcome the difficulties we have in our journey during our life. So this shows that worship is not just something theoretical. It's something which has a real effect, albeit it is in the spiritual world, and which brings us a huge resource, a lot of help in order for our daily life, basically. And that is, but the worship must come from the heart through true thoughts. It's not just to take the Lord's Prayer and give it by heart without any thoughts associated to it, because that is not working. What is working is the real, true thoughts coming from our heart. And that's also why in the Spiritist body of knowledge and spiritual movement practice, we are giving preferences to inspired prayers, for instance, because these ones are not given by heart. They come really out of the heart and are corresponding to real thoughts that you are emitting. So that's basically the difference between of understanding of the true worship according to the Spiritist body of knowledge compared with the religious rituals, which are not always, sometimes there are, of course, thanks God, but which are not always seconded by this power of the true thoughts.
Yes, thank you, Charles. Yes, what I see is that our essence is spiritual. But here we move in the material world. So whatever that is material that we use to worship, it doesn't mean anything. If it doesn't promote some spiritual change in us. So the material life that we have should be the instruments. So for people who think that to worship God, it has to be external, through rituals, through objects, with all due respect. But if that doesn't affect, for instance, a nice music, it's not the music itself that is making me worship God, but the music puts me in a state where spiritually I connect to God. It's not the incense or the candle or the color of the clothing, my clothing. It's not the material aspect of it, but what the impact that it has in me. It reminds me of God when I see a person all dressed in white. So it's not the white that is making that, the connection. It's the fact that reminds some people of God. Oh, when I listen to birds chirping, and that reminds me of God. So it's not the sound itself that is doing it, but it's putting something in action in us, which is spiritual. So worship should be spiritual. If we go to a quiet place, if we go to a park, for instance, I love praying under a tree. Why is that? Because the beauty of nature connects me to God, because it's God's creation. So if there's no tree where I live, if I live in the desert, well, I should be able to connect to God, although it's not in the ideal condition that I find myself. But sometimes people believe that just by having the material objects around them, that's enough to worship God. Whereas, it's the spiritual impact of things that will do the job, as it were, connect us God. As you said, Charles, is a spiritual connection. It's not a material connection. And unfortunately, people in a distracted world, they only pay attention to what is material, which we want. As you said, we won't take anything of our material achievements, but what the achievements that we managed to make in spiritual terms, that will go with us. And we see that worship has been with humanity since day one. When we study all the civilizations, all the people from the ancient times. It's an instinct, the existence of God and the need to worship God. So it's been with us. It's our spiritual side manifesting ourselves, trying to call our attention to something else more than just the material situation that we live in. But as the material situation becomes more comfortable, we tend to forget that. It's like someone that goes on a mission and gets distracted when he or she is there. Time passes by. It's so nice here. Oh, yeah. Then time is over, and that person realizes that, well, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I just wasted this time, distracted by something that didn't add a thing to me. So, Silvia, I'm going to ask you one question now. How can we cultivate a connection with the divine in a world full of distractions? We've been talking about these distractions. We have identified that this is a problem, especially in modern worlds. How can we, cultivate this sincere, true worship in this world full of distractions? What is your opinion?
Well, well, to me, it's a personal choice, isn't it? Because you can get distracted with so many things, and normally we are. I find sometimes fascinating how, in talking about distraction, you see people on the phone all the time. They walk in the street on the phone. Last week, actually, when I went to the supermarket, this girl, she just crossed the road. She was on the phone. She didn't realize she was crossing the road. And the car, actually, she was very lucky. The man was paying attention and he stopped. And, and everybody was saying, oh, when somebody said something, because of course she had that thing in her ear as well, she didn't realize that she could have lost her life. If the driver wasn't paying attention or going a little faster than he was, she would have been killed. She didn't even realize she was crossing the road because she was looking at the phone. And of course, her ears as well, she had something in her ears. And you see this all the time, people so distracted, even driving is sometimes I get terrified when I'm waiting for the bus. And it's a very busy road here. And I see people all the time, they're on their phone, they're texting, and they're still driving, It's very, very incredible how people are completely unaware and completely distracted. So I wonder if someone is so completely outside of themselves in looking for, whatever it is that they are so important, they are looking on their phone, that their very life doesn't seem to have any value. How they stop to think about God, a life beyond, because it was said, Charles made comments and you as well, how our lives here is as long as it takes, is very temporary. We are all, there is only true fatality. We are all going to die once we are born. And we come to this world for a period of time to learn some lessons that our spirit needs to learn so that we can improve and develop. I don't know, until some years ago, people I knew, friends who had children, they would take their children to Sunday school, People used to go to Sunday school. And, until not so long ago, on Sundays, there was no shopping, there was nothing. So people would take that day, it was, I think, was very much within the whole idea that you work and you rest one day. So there were no supermarkets open, no shops open. And people mostly used to go to church and take their children to Sunday school. So when you're young, you could begin to learn about God, about worship, about something that's beyond the physical life. Nowadays, I don't know anybody anymore who goes to church. No people who are not spiritists. And even spiritist people, they don't take their children to, very few people actually. Maybe, here I'm thinking about the people around, that I know, mostly they don't take their children to learn, and not many, even though they go to the spiritual centers and everything, they don't really have any worship, any time to think about God during the week. And I think one of the most important things we have in spiritism is the idea to sit for at least half an hour, 15 minutes every week. If you are able with the family, to read something from a good book, from the Bible, from a spiritist book, to talk about it, to talk to the family, to unite the family with the idea that there is a being that's superior to us and everything. And it's so important, this moment, and I think would be a way of at least some time, bringing to that awareness. Having said that, no matter how distracted we are, it's innate in us. We are born with this knowledge, and we will die with this knowledge, that there is a being that's above us, a creator. The idea of God, of a being beyond us, it's innate in us. We are born with it. But, as the word, as you put it, we are so distracted, you know. Um, and I think it's a question of choice, of we coming to the point of awareness that this life, as busy as it is, and as full as it is, it's very temporary. Is a passing. And especially, it seems to go so fast. We in June already. I can hardly believe it. And there is some channel on the telly, they're already showing Christmas movies, which is completely absurd. Christmas in June. But I mean, it's just the idea, if you think about distracting, we already in beginning of summer, it's still in spring, and we're already thinking about winter, and those things take us and really distract us, because we're already thinking about 6 months ahead, whereas to be here in the present. And I think quite a lot of things in our society now pushes us to move forward all the time, always look to what's next week or the month after and the month after. And very few of us is in the present, in the here now. And that's where we need to be, because, as they say, the past is gone, the future's not yet come, so we only have this now, the moment. And I think if all of us become aware of that, we would pay more attention and focus for at least, maybe a few minutes a day to stop and think, I am just here passing. I'm here to learn some lessons. What can I learn? And to be focused on our life and our transformation of ourselves, because that's what we came here for, to learn about who we are, where we come from, where are we going, what kind of life are we creating for ourselves once we leave this life, because that's the great certainty. As distracted as we are, we cannot avoid the point. And we try not to think about it, but it will happen. And I think this is very important for us to take some time and look within. And because even though we are distracted with material things, and because we have this innate knowledge of God, we need him. We need to have that connection, and I think to maybe, bring it to summary and answer your question is to stop, to think about what are the aim of our lives. You know, we need to go to work, we need to feed our families, we need to take care of many business things, many things of the world, and that's not wrong. Absolutely. You know, if we go out to a party, you go to the cinema, that's not wrong. We need to do that. It's part of being human and living. But also take some time for our soul, and and it doesn't mean, you know, if you feel that you can connect with God going to a church, go to the church, go to service. It's really nice, you know. You have people, they sing, they say peace, and it makes you feel comfortable, it makes you feel good. Or, you know, you can sit in a park by the river, have, you know, maybe even sitting in a cafe, you know, having a cup of coffee and seeing people walking by and seeing, oh, you know, we're all part of this beautiful world. We are here for something. And just for a few minutes, just think about ourselves. What can we do to make our lives better and the lives of other people better? Because I think one of the things that we learn, and the Spirit spoke very clear on that, the teachings of the spirits, that it's a connection. Our connection with God is a connection through the heart. You know, prayers, rituals, and everything, it fulfills some aim for our own, but the only thing that really connects us to God is our own heart, is our own sense of connection with you know, our Creator. And we need this connection, because without it, we feel completely lost, you know. So I think take some time from our distractions, you know, just put the phone down for 2 minutes and just think, oh, you know, I am so happy to be here today. I am so happy um, I'm alive. I'm well. You know, I'm so lucky that I have people I know that I love, and they love me back. There are so many things for to be grateful, and I think that's one of the things as well that is important for us in our connection with God, connect to the heart and to gratitude, to be grateful, because this life on this planet is extremely precious. This incarnation is given to us after we, you know, wait for a long time. And it's a very precious moment in our spiritual existence. So, you know, just take some time, at least 5 minutes every day, to be grateful and to connect with God and with others. So that's it. Take
Wonderful.
some
Thank you.
time, 5 minutes.
Yeah, you know what came into my mind while you're speaking. We may take, for instance, we may take food that's not healthy for us over a long period of time. And each time we eat that, we say, oh, you know, I don't feel any difference. But we know it's not good for us. But then one day it takes its toll, sooner or later. And I think it's the same regarding worship, prayer, our spiritual side. We may live in the spirit, in the physical world, and neglect all these things for a certain period of time. But then it starts to, you know, cause unpleasant situations for us. Depression. We can handle a situation if it's out of that, you know, normal condition that we are happy to live in. The world we know is changing. We may be facing very moments of hardship. Can I survive these moments of hardship? Am I prepared to do that? You know? Then the spiritual side, the spiritual elements, worship and prayer are fundamental. They will keep us going, whatever is, you know, around us. And we shouldn't forget, the only thing or the only ones we are going to meet in the spiritual world are people. We won't meet our car. Oh, good. Wonderful that I managed to buy that brand new car before I died, because now I have a brand new car, you know, in the spiritual world, or a house. Look, you know, my house is here. I worked hard my whole life to buy this house, and now in the spiritual world it was here waiting for me. No, people, these are the only ones that count in the spirit world. How we treat them, what we did of a situation, if we damage people, and that's what counts. So it's the spiritual side and the interaction with other people that will count there. And of course, our connection with God, the degree of spiritualization that we have managed to cultivate even during physical life, So it's really it's a really profound subject, and people should meditate upon. We see situations like increasing numbers of depression, suicides, and so many, especially mental diseases nowadays. Why is that? People are diagnosing things in an early stage, or we have now the tools to be able to diagnose this at an early stage, or it is happening because people are, too much into this material life without paying attention to one side that is vital, since we are of a spiritual nature. Our essence is spiritual. If we don't cultivate that, it gets neglected. It gets rusty, So we see that, we end up reaping what we, sow for ourselves. And I think prayer is a wonderful instrument. Through prayer, we worship God, but we keep the connection with good spirits. We get inspiration and so on. So I'm going to ask Elsa, what is the purpose of prayer according to Spiritism? And how can we make it more meaningful?
So, Munir, so wonderful to listen Silvia and Charles and listen you and see all this together, the importance really. There's a phrase that is so meaningful for me. You put your treasure where your heart is. And Silvia pointed very well that everything is our choice. So we can link with the divinity through prayer. That is a wonderful remedy for our illnesses of our soul. We can even prepare our family, as Silvia pointed, the young that they are not going to the church or spirit center, but we have this wonderful resource that is gospel in the home, or you can put your name that you want to, or the Bible in the home, but reunite your family in one day for the week, especially the day that everyone is together, and read a passage of the gospel. Make your prayer and teach your children to pray as well, and to understand the power of prayer, because the power of prayer is the best connection to the divine, to God, to the good spirits, and we are surrounded by the spirits. I was thinking about the medieval times, where the people that gather to do a worship that is outside of the church, they were considered heretics, or people that are against, or mediums as well, that were witches, and a lot of them will be killed. They will be killed in the medieval times. And nowadays we have the freedom to worship whatever you want to do, the way that you want to do, regardless creed or culture or countries or race or color. You can worship God, but inside your heart. You don't need a big cathedral only to go there Sundays to worship. You can worship God with respect and love and talk to God in your mind, in your thoughts, in your heart. That is the benefit that you can bring towards yourself, towards your family, towards your job, towards your neighborhood. So you can do a lot of things, understanding the power to be really a true spirit talking to God. And you can feel God. You can respect the nature. You can walk by the river. I'm near River Thames now, and it's a wonderful. The nature inspire us and remind us that we are nature. We are inside God, God is inside us. We are breathing God. So we can say to God, thanks God for this beautiful scenery that I am immersed now. I can change my mind. I can be more thankful. I can say that a prayer can change our life. Not a prayer that you are counting how many prayers you can, or only reading. You can do with your mind, whatever you can say. The words mean to you what you are feeling yourself, the way that you are feeling the presence of the God inside you. So this is the way that I'm doing every day. And I project myself meeting Jesus, meeting the benefactors, and I can feel my home and my place wherever I am, or up under the tree, or walking, or even in buses or trains that I am the last days running a lot. I can pray. Everything can come outside of my mind. And as Charles pointed it very nicely in the Munir and you, Silvia, we don't take things, material things with us. I cannot worship my car, as Munir said. I worship only this divine entity that's inside us. I do not worship other person. The value is to feel the presence of the benefactors. Stop now. Around us, giving us all the opportunity that we have to be connected. And we can pray for someone that is ill. We can do a mediumship meetings online with the other spirits surrounding us. But sometimes we can dictate things to the spirits. But we can feel the presence of the benefactors wherever we are. And together we can change the world, changing ourselves to be a better person, to respect the other, see the invisible people, giving even non-perishable food that our group are collecting and giving every week to the food bank. So a lot of things we can do. In every action that we are doing, we can pray and make this gesture, the charity that you are giving, material charity to someone, with a prayer, can improve the benefits of this meal, this food, these material things. We can worship God in every moment of our day, our life, even understanding people that do not accept God. No, God took my mom, and I pray to God. I gave a lot of things. I make a lot of candles. I make this, I make that, and God didn't listen me. Took my mom. Okay, people doesn't understand that the life goes on. There is a reincarnation. So spiritism is a freedom of life. Is a teachings that we can bring towards ourselves. We don't need to change our religion. We don't need to change the way that we worship in our religion, in our places, but we can add the information, the humble information, the simple information that Spiritism brings towards our life and make our life a better way, really, to live the way that we are living now. So this is the presence of God in our life. Of course, the life is hard, a lot of things to do, running here and there. Yes, Silvia, we are in June. It's so impressive how the time is flying so fast. But we can stop a little bit and say, what am I doing today? I didn't even have a prayer. So stop and make a prayer, make your connection, listen to music, or go outside, go to your garden, take a flower in your hand and make a prayer. Or even talk with the little dog that is calling me to go outside now, little bear. But we are together. We can make this world a better world. Worshiping God with respect, kindness, with charity, and listen others, and be a better person, a humble better person. That's great. We don't need more than that. We don't take cars, etc., in our coffin or in another plane. But we can do our best to listen and to see others and help you others without make them feeling that you are giving to something to them, but perhaps you wait something back. No, give with your heart and let the life goes on. That's it, more or less. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa. I think it's also important to remember that in the same way that we can get fit regarding our physical body, going to the gym, doing exercise every day, eating, the correct type of food, we can do the same in spiritual terms because we have our perispirit. And through exercise, we may have some difficulties to concentrate on a prayer, for instance, although, it's something that should be natural. It should come from our heart, But little by little, exercising that, we manage to, be fit in spiritual terms, to be able to communicate, to worship God, and also to express our gratitude. As you said, we don't need to kneel down to, put ourselves in a certain position or whatever. No, we can do because it's, from spirit to spirit, mind to mind, heart to heart. We can do anywhere, anytime. We don't need any special condition to do that. It's just the condition that is necessary is that it should come from our heart with sincerity and with gratitude as well. In talking about gratitude, I'm going to ask Charles, how does gratitude serve as a form of worship and spiritual elevation?
I mean, thanks for the question, Muni. Gratitude is something which is really appreciated even between incarnated people, isn't it? You help someone, and the other one is grateful for you, and he's helping you. You are grateful to him. These are positive exchanges. Gratitude is really something very positive. And when we take the spiritualist paradigm, we know that we are souls created by God. We are incarnated. The purpose of this incarnation is to help our soul to progress towards God and so on. So when we look from this point of view, we see that there are so many opportunities we are having in our world. We have a spiritual guide or a guardian angel, which is here dedicated for us. How can we, it's really the minimum to reward them back with gratitude, isn't it? And there is another effect of the gratitude, which is, since it's a positive thought, it raises our thoughts, it raises our spiritual vibrations. And by raising our spiritual vibration, we get better connection with these spirits which are more evolved than us and which are here to help us. If at the opposite, we stay into negative thoughts like ingratitude, for instance, I think that's a word in English, we are moving away from those who are here to help us. They try to help us, to inspire us and so on, and we are moving away from them because we have negative thoughts. And on the other hand, what happens as well, because the affinity between spirits, souls, is given exactly on this level. If we move down, we will get more in synchrony with spirits who, at the opposite, are trying to deviate us or trying to put prejudice on us or trying to hinder our progress. So it's simply, up to us. What do we want? Do we want to synchronize with God or with these good spirits which are here to help us? Or do we want to synchronize, to be in synchrony or aligned with the spirits who will rather try to hinder our progress? So it's a very simple choice like this. So I can see also in the comments, the bridal rack is writing, it's very hard sometimes to carry on this conversation with others as they don't want to hear about it, even family members. That's true. But what is it? I think you have also this expression in English. It's a kind of a ostrich effect or an ostrich problem. isn't it? So we do not, a lot of times we do not want to see the reality. We do not want to see this reality of the spiritual world. And that's the biggest hurdle, the biggest difficulties for this change to the materialist reduced paradigm to a much broader, wider, and positive spiritualist paradigm. And this ostrich effect is a lot of times blocking us. No? Why should I care with those things as there are no evidences, or nobody never came back to tell us how it is like there? But all this is absolutely not true, because there are so many evidences now going in favor of the spiritualist paradigm. We talked about it already in previous lives. For instance, near-death experiences or mediumship, or so many new notions, for instance, like spiritual intelligence. Give a look to it. And this is even admitted in a totally non-religious concept, that the fact to have positive thoughts, to collaborate rather than to compete within a team, is leading to much, much, much better result, to a much better ambient, which is positive for the result in our work even. So, and what is this spiritual intelligence? Is a clear move towards getting aware of the power of our soul. That the people who do not want to listen about it are simply missing these opportunities. So I understand, Brother Rock, it's very difficult for some people who have ears and do not want to hear, and have eyes and do not want to see. But it needs time. You have to continue behaving with them, loving them, and so on. And it's by example, little by little, that they also will change. I remember again John Lennon when he was saying, "You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one, and one day you will join us." So that's exactly a perfect illustration of these things. And to be grateful is always positive and can only do good.
Yes, and slowly, I think science will, start to show things that some of us already know. Few of us decided to accept, to believe, to study, even before science would say, oh, yes, it exists. And then, people will slowly move. But because science is very slow in progressing in these aspects, we don't need to wait, we can already take things in. And I think people, they think, well, I don't need this for my daily life. Why should I bother? This is something that religion has told us before in the past. But with time, as I said before, if I smoke one cigarette, it won't cause me any problem. Over time, I will certainly get cancer, lung cancer. But do I have to wait until science shows me, or I myself become the example of the results of smoking throughout, life or for many years? I don't need to do that. We have intelligence. So if we stop and think, and well, today I don't see spirits, but I feel much better when I worship God or whatever this person wants to call. And when I communicate in spiritual terms, in sentiments, and we see people doing that a lot today. There are so many different areas now, working with crystals, with so many different things. These are ways to expand our spiritual side, the need to expand our spiritual side. And of course, when people start to ask questions, they will look for the answers, and they will see, wow, the answers, they've been here for so long, and only now I found that I needed answers. But it's a slow progress. That's why I believe that we are going through this phase of denial, or everything related to what religion said to us in the past, we deny. We turn our back to that. But from that, what is real, what is really part of life that I'm just throwing out, and slowly that will come back in a different way. That's something I personally believe. I just want to say hello to Jefferson Faria, Pat K, Lily Kapai, the Bridal Rack. We had this comment by the Bridal Rack.
Right.
Rihelia, Rome, West Rikai, Ruben de los Santos from Uruguay, Marco Davis. So thank you so much for being here with us and saying hello. Right. Yes,
I just wanted to say something, because we were talking about prayer and everything, which is important, and we can do prayers in many ways. But I find that one of the things that if we don't need to go to worship or church or everything, if we do good to other people, because that's the main thing. Is to be kind, is to treat other people the way you would like to be treated. Because there is a part of the gospel that Jesus is saying that not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but those who do the will of my Father who is in heaven. And I find this very, very important, because he opens the door for everyone. Because going to church and praying all the time and saying the name of God and putting oneself in a position that you're superior to everybody else just because you go to church, and everyone who doesn't, will not survive, they will go to hell, and they're going to be lost forever. They become judge and jury and of things they really don't know. And I think that phrase of Jesus is so important, because he says there are many people who maybe don't go to church, don't go to, worship and things, but they are kind to people. They serve others. They go out of their way to make other people's lives easier. And those people go into the kingdom of heaven a lot quicker than a lot of people who pray and say God, 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 but doesn't do, are always very harsh, very judgmental. And I think this is very important as well. And it's a shame. I think, Bride of Rock, I think she says her name is Sila and she's gone. But there is also something in the Gospels that Jesus says, when Peter comes to ask Jesus about, I think it's in the Gospel of St. John, that Peter comes and asks Jesus, what about him? What's going to happen to him? And Jesus said to Peter, what matters him? You follow me. And I think this is also an extremely important. We don't care what other people are doing. It's their own conscience that will call them when they need to be called. And, he said, what about him? You come and follow me. So we do what we need to do. If it's easier for us to go to church to worship, fine, let's do it. If we rather do the gospel at home, but even if you don't, but you're kind, you serve others, you live a life of service, that's all there is. And be grateful for the wonderful things that we have. Because, I think we forget that to have eyes to see, to have your legs to walk, it's such a blessing. There are many people who can't get up of bed unless someone comes and helps them. And, we get so with a lot of problem, and not dismissing anybody's difficulty, mental health and everything. It's, some people have a real, true problems, and they need to have all the therapy and all the treatments they need. But I think quite a lot of us, we complain a lot about nothing much, we can walk, we can dance, we have a job. Oh my God, my job is so horrible. Try to get better grades or whatever. and go and get a better job. Be happy. Stop complaining, because this only brings negativity to you. Try to see the world, and create a better world for yourself and for others, and live a life of, because if we think about other people who are in greater difficulty than us, maybe we see that our lives are not so hard. I think Elsa made a point today, we're free to worship. Now you can worship everywhere. It's not true anymore, Elsa. Somebody was saying this the other day. But now there are many, many places, many countries now, that if you say you are a Christian, it means that your head is going to be chopped off. They are persecuting Christians. It's not free for them anymore. It's being very terrible. There are a lot of people who are being killed because of their religion, because they are Christians, really, not because of their religion, but specifically. So, send prayers to them. Because, this freedom that we enjoy, even the freedom of worship, go to a church or have a religion, it's precious. Even now it's becoming precious for us, and to have our lives and everything. So be grateful, serve others, and, I think that's the main thing, really. And doesn't matter if the others are believing, if they believe, if they're going to follow, if they accept, go go and follow whoever you like to follow, and leave the others for them. Their time will come.
Yeah,
So,
but
yes.
thank goodness we can always worship in silence. These inner states that's doesn't need special place or anything. So since it is also possible, we will be able to worship anytime, anywhere. And when it comes to our work, our action in life, I think it's important that to worship God. I think one good way to do that is to do well what we do, whatever we do. As
We
you
can
said,
worship
Silvia.
without fear, né?
Yeah.
No fear anymore. You can worship God and not fear God.
Yeah.
Né? Okay, that's great.
Okay, so we're nearly there. So I'll just make some announcements here. Next week, we have here with us in the spiritual light. The topic is the law of work, labor, purpose, and the evolution of the spirits. Our guest is Marina Stigall from the United States. Also, this coming weekend, 7th and 8th of June, in Finland, we have the 8th European Spiritist Gathering. So if you're interested, I think there's still enough time to make the arrangements to go. And I think that's it for today. I just want to ask each one of you, I'll start with Elsa, your final words.
Only to say that the very important for us is to have something around us that make us a different person. See nature, God, you name it, what you want to do. But be sure, we are creation of God. God is the creator. So we worship God. So thank you all for being with us. Thank you, Moniz, Charles, Silvia, Steve, Stevan, and others. God bless you all. See you next week.
Thank you, Elsa. Silvia?
Well, just saying it was wonderful. And it's a lot to think about for ourselves, how we can make better choices for ourselves and to try to change ourselves. And, to pray for ourselves and to others and for the whole world, because prayer is a very, very powerful thing that we can do for ourselves and for others. And, it reaches out when we pray sincerely for someone. It reaches them out, and they will receive our thoughts, and also, the good spirits, benefactors, and their guardian angels will help as well. So it's very important to pray for others and for ourselves. And it's wonderful to be with all of you today. God bless you
Wonderful.
all.
Thank you. Thank you, Silvia. Charles?
Yeah, thank you, Muni. I mean, worship is cultivating positive thoughts. So positive thoughts can only be good for us and for all the people around us. So let's go for it.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. Yes, we shouldn't forget, no matter what, we are being looked after by God. And that's why worship is so important. Is a way of looking back and saying thank you. Whatever the situation, it is for our goods. So with that, I want to say thank you, Elsa, Silvia, Chance, and those watching us. And wait for to see you next week, same time, spiritual light again. For now, bye bye.
Okay. Good night. God bless. Bye.
God bless.
Bye.